Oh my god, hey! Oh my god.
Don't bring them down because they are not in your level.
There's a checklist to go through when you're doing people's makeup.
You can be straight and you can still do drag. You can be a girl and still do drag.
Is your name actually Jackie?
No, it's not.
Because I didn't have any other way to express the anger.
So it wasn't really well known until NESCC happened.
So,
Actually, let's talk about drama and cosplay.
I don't want to post my cosplays because I see a lot of drama and a lot of people overshadowing.
Oh, that judge is bad. Oh.
you don't even have to answer if you don't want to.
I don't have to, but I want to.
Okay, go ahead.
No.
Hello and welcome back everyone to another incredible episode of Awesome Chats. Today I'm going to be joined by someone that is very special and has a high reputation in the cosplay community. So today we are going to be joined by a very special guest. I know I say that a lot about most of my guests, but this person is very special in the cosplay community because not only are they the judge from last year's Not only is this person the judge from the MEFCC cosplay competition, but also she's a winner. She's from Netherlands. She won the World Cosplay Summit back in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I can't wait for us to get to know more about the World Cosplay Summit experience and what it was like behind the scenes and what was the process and all of that. So,
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going? Wait.
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you well. Do you hear me?
Yes, awesome. I'm so glad to have you. I'm sorry if I was a few minutes late.
Oh, don't
I
worry.
was trying to.
Yeah, your
was trying to,
damage makeup. That's great. Amazing.
Well, I had to improvise. I was like, how can I make this perfect? Just add bruises and blood. It always works.
Amazing.
So how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm so glad to have you here because I was speaking earlier. By the way, this will be posted on YouTube.
Okay,
So
that's
and
fine.
it will also be posted on my IGTV. So earlier before you joined, I was telling everyone that you are a World Cosplay Summit champion, and I can't wait for us to get into all the details and all the backstories and all the process. And we also have a lot of questions to answer. So
Okay. Wow.
most of the time, we divide the chat into two different parts. The second one is where we focus on the Q&A, and the first one is where we focus on the story.
All right.
So
I'm
let's
really
see.
excited to be here because when you asked
By the
me
way-
to... Yes.
Oh, is this how you pronounce your name? Is it Kaoru?
Kaoru. So it's
Kaoru.
Kaoru.
Kaoru, okay.
But
I
you
didn't
can also
wanna-
say
I didn't-
Lily because it depends. In Japan, when I was in Japan for WCS, people found it easier to call me Kaoru, so that became my name there. But mostly international, if people want to have easier nickname, Lily is fine too. So whichever
Lily,
you prefer. Yeah, Lily is fine.
Kaoru is also a nice name. Okay. You were saying? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, that I'm really excited to be here and to tell my story of course, WCS and cosplay in general. And I'm really curious about what people wanted to ask me. So really excited.
So you won World Cosplay Summit with Rei, right?
Yes, Rei Suzuki and we qualified for WCS 2019. But in the Netherlands, we had the preliminary in the year before, so in 2018. And that story, do you want me to get into that story deeper?
Sure. We can like have a timeline. We can start from the very beginning, and then we'll go into the accomplishments that you told me about. The best performance costume. Wait, how long? When did you start cosplay? Let's start with that. When
That
did you
is indeed
begin
the start.
cosplay?
I started
Yes.
2008, and that was
Oh,
yes.
okay.
I've been in the scene for about 12 years now. I was 16 when I started out, and I wanted to go to a convention. I wanted to wear a costume. I couldn't sew at all, so I bought something online without wig, without makeup. It was all very new. And I went to my first convention in 2008. It took a few years before I sewed my own costumes. It was just trying out really because I had no idea where to start. And the reason for me to start making costumes is because I couldn't order it online because the character was so new. And that's actually the one you used for the promo picture, the Presea from Tales of Symphonia. So that one
the
is
one with the
pink hair, yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that's kind of how I started making costumes. That was about 2012. And in 13, indeed, I started doing competitions. And
so how is... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
indeed, one of the first, because you mentioned already the best performance category, that was one with that costume, Presea one. And it was more of a costume and fantasy event. So
it was Elf Fantasy Fair?
Elf Fantasy Fair, yes. And that was my first stage experience, yes.
In 2012, right? Or 13?
The competition was in 13, yeah.
13. So how is the cosplay scene in Netherlands? Like, how are the conventions there, and like, how's the community there? How's the cosplay community there in general?
So when I first started out, the community was pretty small. If I were talking to people at school or in general, other people, family members, no one knew what cosplay was. And there were only maybe 2-3 conventions a year. Over time, I think about 5 to 10 years later, it became quite a lot. Like there was an event every month and the community grew. I think the first, let's see, maybe 4 years when I was into the community, maybe the visitors were about 3,000 people for an event.
Whoa.
And
that is considered a lot, by the way.
Really? It depends.
Compared to us.
Yeah, I see. I did hear the community is kind of like older. It started earlier here than in your part of the world, so say. So when I went to MEFCC, it was actually kind of even nostalgic to me because there are some things in the con atmosphere that I do miss these days in our community. Because of course, I myself, of course, became older and I joined competitions. And the competition world is, of course, a little different as well. So it's not always bad. There's, in general, always sometimes people are kind of nitpicking on costumes, but it really depends. Yeah. Yes, it really depends on the people. Because most of the competition people, we actually help each other out during backstage. So I personally really like the competition atmosphere there. It's not that much hate. However, I think because there are more generations coming up throughout the years, the more recent new cosplayers, the young ones, they deal more maybe with hate, also because of the social media that came up a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think Instagram existed in my first few years.
Back then, yeah.
Yeah, back then. So I think internet hate could be more of a problem these days than in the past. But overall, yeah, the community in general is quite friendly. It's just, you kind of have to get to know the people. What do you mean with diverse?
Like, are there international people that come to the conventions in the Netherlands? Or?
Yes, mostly from Germany and Belgium, especially Belgium because they didn't have that many big conventions, I think, and it's very close by for them. So every year on the big conventions, we definitely have quite some German cosplayers, Belgian cosplayers, sometimes even from France and UK. Oh, and from Denmark. So it's quite international, the big ones. Yeah, yeah.
So after you started the cosplay scene, like after you joined in, what made you join in? Like you just wanted to try it out, or did you see an ad on television, or was it a friend that introduced you to the cosplay scene? How did you find out about it?
I think I read a magazine. There was this Dutch magazine called Anyway. And that's the first time I read about the existence of conventions. and also what cosplay was. So I saw costumes, I saw the pictures. I was like, oh, I would like to try that. But the first few years, I just dressed up when I was
fun,
very,
made some friends.
yeah, but I was very unsocial. Like
Shy.
how you met me at, no, not even shy, just very introvert and I don't know,
Oh,
awkward maybe even. Also shy, but everything added together, I hardly made any connections. So I wouldn't consider being really part of the community back then. I was just, yeah, a casual visitor maybe. I think I got more into the community. Yeah, of
That
course, if
happens
you
a
start
lot with
out,
all.
yeah.
Like especially if you're an introvert and this is your first time walking in and like you feel like a shy little potato with everyone looking so incredible and so awesome, and then you slowly start blending in with everyone and make friends, and it's amazing.
Yes,
So how
true.
did you met Ray? How did you and Ray meet?
Oh, that's a very interesting one, actually. This is really a nice story. So I was, I think, Tsunakon, which year? 2013, 14, something like that. I was hosting a cosplay competition because I was that year part of the staff of that event, and I was given the opportunity to organize the whole cosplay competition for that one. And Ray was actually someone who entered the competition. So she was, by the way, only recently getting into the Dutch community because she's originally from Brazil. So when she came to that event, she didn't know anyone. So I had contact with her regarding competition. And that's why I think we became friends quite easily at the event. I was having the contact with all the participants. But we didn't really get closer until we cosplayed together from Fire Emblem Awakening, because we really liked those games. And then we found out about Full Metal Alchemist, and then that ball came rolling.
That's how the friendship formed.
Yes.
So this is all very early into the cosplay scene. Like this was back then, right? When you met?
Yes.
Okay, then when did you start taking it seriously? By the way, like, is this your full-time job or do you have another thing that you do?
No,
like, is this
it's not my full-time job. For me, it's a hobby.
Okay.
My job is being a software developer. So I studied IT, I work in it.
Smart.
So the thing with cosplay is it's for me really my creative outlet.
That's really nice. Most people do that, yeah, and some people do take it seriously, and some people do like take cosplay as a professional job, and it's fine either ways as long as you have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you decide that like cosplay performance was something that you really are passionate about, or you really want to put your all into it? When did that come? Like when did that, like, was it what made you feel that way? Is it the prizes? Is it the competitiveness? Well, like you said that you guys over there are very friendly and very supportive. Was it that
well,
made you feel like
before I joined, I wouldn't know, of course, what that competition scene would be like. The prizes are not that high here, to be honest. It's mostly a title you win or some small merch. So there aren't any money prizes here, by the way. Not big ones, at least.
Oh, okay.
So that is like not my motivation. It was when I wanted to do a cosplay group. Because I cosplayed Blackrock Shooter, I knew some people who did the other characters from Blackrock Shooter. So we had a group of 6, and we're like, oh, shall we do a competition? So we tried that. We tried to do a performance, and it went totally wrong. I poked one of my friends with my sword in her eye.
Oh my god.
Every single time we do a performance, someone gets hurt in some way.
Oh no.
So it was it was very, yeah. If we look back at the recordings, we're like, it's kind of bad. But
is she okay?
Yeah, not at the time, but afterwards, yeah, of course, it was fine. But in general, that was just the first tryout. Like, what would it be to perform? And then after that, we really enjoyed it. So we formed this cosplay group with the group we performed with called Prism, and we're still active. So we're a group of 6 girls.
I've seen it on your account. Prism Cosplay.
Yes. So every year after that, we did a cosplay competition. so that we have this whole group of the same series and do some stage performance. And honestly, once I was into the stage performances, I really enjoyed being on stage and putting like not just on a costume and not just cosplaying during the hallways, but also having thought of an act, story to tell, and engaging with the audience. That was really touching for me.
Ever.
Yes, it's definitely that.
I know that feeling. Like just being over there and like the audience reaction, and it's just like it's an amazing feeling, honestly.
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of what kept me
So you
going.
would say that you're a performance-based cosplayer. Like your main focus on cosplay is performance.
Performance, but also sewing, because I really like sewing the clothes. I'm very picky about fabrics, for instance. So if you have more the prop making cosplayers and more the sewing based cosplayers, I'm the latter. I'm not that well with, for instance, props and wigs, but that's where Rei and we really team up well, because she really likes to focus more on the props and on the wigs part, and for me more on the sewing. And of course, combined with the performance, that's really indeed what would be kind of more my characteristic part of cosplay. Yes.
That's really awesome. I mean, it's really incredible how over time everything just compiled together, and it turned out to be like something that is not only beneficial for the two of you, but for the people that you've met as well. Like you mentioned the group, the Prism Cosplay group, and then you have here you've won a lot of competitions. I see you won the first place at the group competition AnimeCon 2016.
Yes.
And then first place with Rei, World Cosplay Summit Premium. Okay, so this is the World Cosplay Summit.
Yes, that's when we went to. Yes. And the one with the cosplay group, I was telling you, we've done competitions from 13 every year, so 13, 14, 15. And then 16 was the one where we actually won first place indeed. So that was really a memorable year for us.
That's incredible. I mean, okay, everything aside, like how is it right now with this whole situation, with this whole virus situation, not being able to go out and cosplay? It's been devastating for most, but some people are taking advantage of it and trying to make stuff themselves at home and film themselves. How has it been for you?
For me personally, indeed in the beginning I had difficulty with adjusting to it. Like, I didn't know what to do. I did organize like all my fabrics, for instance, and all my other cosplay materials. So I did do that. I didn't work that much on cosplay until a few weeks ago, though. And I am planning indeed to make more content as well. So I did recently the self-photography myself. I'm planning to do some videos, but that kind of I'm still building up. So I'm trying indeed to make more use of it, of the time I have during quarantine or during COVID.
Wait, the recent posts are your own photography?
Yes.
Wow, like I couldn't even tell if you didn't bring it up. That's really good.
Yes.
I mean, I myself am experimenting with self-photography, and it's not that good.
Oh, if you want tips, just message me later. We can talk more into that.
Sure. Thank you. So let's get into the main topic of the day, which is the World Cosplay Summit experience. I have so many questions. Tell us, like, from the beginning, you hear the host announce that you won. How did it feel?
It was so weird. Like, I was sitting there next to Rei, of course, and we were watching the announcement. So I have to explain, at our event, there are many competitions at the same time. So the award ceremony is like a few naming of competitions, and the WCS is the last one.
Per usual, I think. They do that a lot.
Yeah,
they announce,
exactly. So there were like 4 or 5 other competitions winners announced, and we kind of like know that they never give out doubles. So for instance, unless there's really a specific reason to, but in general, they try to see which competition fits which group best to send them there. So when WCS came, we were like, is it possible? Is it possible? And then our names were announced. We were like, what? We were shaking walking up that stage. So yeah, it was. And the rest, I hardly remember what happened. We were just like, This is happening.
So when you sign up, you don't specifically sign up for WCS. They just pick where to put you.
No, for us, we specifically chose WCS, but
Okay.
you can't like sign up for multiple at the same time. So some signed up for
okay.
both WCS or ICG or ICL, things like that. Yeah, but we specifically chose WCS because it had like both of us was the competition we wanted to focus on.
Mm-hmm. And how
Japan.
long was the performance? Japan, of course. How long was your
How long?
performance? What were the rules? What was really difficult to follow when it comes to the rules? Because I've broken a lot of rules in the past when it comes to performance.
Oh, yes, that's very important because they can disqualify you on that. The time limit, of course, I think it was about 2:30, so 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes. I don't know by heart anymore. There
I
are
think it's
specific
2 minutes max.
rules for the stage prop height and width and stuff.
What was
I
really
think-
challenging? Like, what was the one thing that you were like, oh my God, how do we not disobey those specific rules?
Well, we read upon the rules at first, so we indeed kept to that most of the time. So I don't remember anything breaking. I just remember when we went because in the Netherlands, I think the rules are a little more lenient during the preliminaries because you can adjust things later before going to the finals. So the actual rules at the finals are kind of the harder ones, and that's where the stage prop measurements, what I mentioned, that was something we kind of a little went over. So we had to adjust the prop when we were there. But other than that, I don't think there were any rules that was too hard for us.
So how long is the time gap between the preliminaries and the finals? Like, how long do you have to prepare? And what are what are the rules that you have to follow, like after winning the preliminary round?
Okay, so we won the preliminaries, and the thing with me is I knew I had to do a lot because I knew about besides the competition, the finals in Japan. So you have judging for that, the pre-costume judging, and you have the stage performance itself, where you also have rehearsals to do. But besides that, we also had events like a courtesy visit, so an official visit. We had to do show up in costume at certain events, and that's mostly for the local people there in Japan, so that they can, for instance, buy a ticket and join the event.
Basically.
Yeah, we're kind of like in some sort of advertising. So we're there at the event in cosplay, and that's why we had to bring 5 or 6 costumes. And parades, that's what we had to do. So that's all.
Do they tell you what categories to follow?
It has to be Japanese. It has to be from Japanese.
Has to be anime or Japanese, okay.
And the rule for the competition is a bit more strict because you cannot, or I don't know if they changed it, by the way. They could have changed it, but you could not cosplay from Bleach, for example. From the name was Shueisha, the Shueisha series. So no Bleach, no Naruto, no One Piece, I think, except for the One Piece event last year. So
why
there
is it
were
because mainstream?
No, I don't know why. It's I think maybe it has to do with copyright rules. So maybe the Shueisha company, they don't want their costumes or their characters be represented by others.
In a way that they're not. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not sure if that's like represented the way they intend to. Maybe. But in general,
when it came to... Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, just adding.
So, like, when it came to preparing the 6 cosplays, did you have those cosplays ready, or did you have to work on them individually, or, like, was it a mixture of both? Like, did you have something and had to add on it, or how was preparing those 6 cosplays like? Because it sounds hectic, to be honest.
Yeah, that's why I kind of was like, oh shit, we have so many cosplays.
6
okay, so
cosplays.
the pro of working with Rei was we already had done a few cosplays together. So for instance, the Fire Emblem one and Tales of Symphonia. So we had to make one costume we also brought that did not match up because it doesn't necessarily have to match up. It's just more fun if you're cosplaying from the same series. Yeah. But it's not required.
A requirement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we made, I think, 1 or 2 new ones to add. Yeah. So just
Did you
to
guys
say,
work together? Like.
Yeah, the new ones we worked together. So I took more of the sewing part, she took more of the wig styling and prop part, things like that. But we mainly wanted to focus up.
Budget, right?
No, budget is like your own budget, really. And you can like you can find sponsors, for example. Some countries have it easier to find them than others, I must say.
Did you guys find a sponsor, or was it like full on?
Only a little bit. Like we found some sponsor to have 2 of our wigs sponsored. We found some sponsors, like for instance, Rei's as a work boss. They wanted to contribute a little bit. My parents' company wanted to contribute a little bit. So that's like most of us is paid by ourselves. Yeah, but we had some support from people around us. Yes.
I'm only asking this because for us, we've never had the World Cosplay Summit competition here in Bahrain, but we were going to have it this year, but Corona happened and it got canceled.
Oh, damn.
So it must be, and plus, like, we're a very small country. We don't have many cosplayers. We have like around maybe 10 to 20 cosplayers, and we're all like friends, and some of us, like, I wouldn't say that any of us here take it 100% seriously. Like, it's more of a hobby for all of us. So it will be interesting to see who competes and who doesn't, and how does it go in the end. And like, when it comes to the, like, okay, when, like, for example, if I'm envisioning myself being announced as a winner, I'd be like, oh my God, what do I do now? Because first of all, I don't really watch anime. My cosplays are not very, how do I say this? I rarely do anime. I rarely watch anime. I'm not very much into the Japanese culture. Maybe you've noticed I'm more into the Western culture.
Yes, like Disney cosplays, yeah.
Yeah, like this is what I do. So knowing that it's very limited, especially in Japan, like you have to do very, like you need to focus on Japanese characters only. It would be like, I wouldn't want to quit, but like I would have a panic attack because I wouldn't know
because suddenly you would have to make a lot of costumes then, or you
I'm
don't even know if you like to cosplay that so much.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I'm not even familiar with any of those characters. So
I see.
It would be nice if there was like an open one, like a competition for like every type of cosplay, like no boundaries. So okay, so you get to Japan. Walk us through the process. How does it go? Like you get to Japan, and like what's the first thing that you need to do?
Adjust to the time zone. Make sure you don't have jet lag. So the first thing we in general do is make sure our costumes are okay. Did they survive the flight? Did our props survive the flight? And fix if we need to fix anything. If not, you go to Tokyo Hands, which is like a handy shop for hobby stuff, and you can try to fix your costumes. So that's the first thing to do. Then you need to make sure you have supplies there.
Do you get any packaging? Do you get any like special packaging for your outfits and for your props, or?
No, you have to pack everything yourself.
With you?
Yeah. So for us, we had a flight with 2 suitcases. So I packed all my stuff, like normal clothes and the cosplays, in 2 suitcases. And the props, we managed also to bring, like, to take it apart and to bring with our suitcases. But most big props, which are like not easy to bring in smaller, you have to pay extra for the flight. So some teams had to do that. Yes.
What if like you have like hard props? Like what if you have something that you can't really fit into a suitcase? Is there any type of support for that? For these kind of things? Because
you can bring them on the plane, but you have to pay extra for that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It sounds really hectic. Like the whole experience sounds fun, but when it comes to the details, it sounds very hectic.
That is correct. It's very stressful because once you arrive, you get and once everyone meets, that's like on the first day, you get a briefing, and in that briefing, you're explained the schedule a bit. You get it, of course, on paper as well, but the schedule will be walked through, like, okay, this time you have to be there in costume and be ready on this time because the bus will leave. It is actually stressful, and that was about 2 weeks for us, and then we have rehearsals and judging, so you have to be on time with things. I did not get that much sleep, but I must say it was very worth it. The whole experience is just very unique, and you get to do these many different events in such a relatively short time frame, because I never cosplayed that much and that many different characters within that time frame.
A short amount of time.
Mm-hmm. So I would still definitely recommend it, but indeed, just be well prepared. Just knowing that it's going to be stressful, knowing what you can prepare beforehand, that all helps, like, relieving a little stress.
So, like, is there any, like, they provide the hotel, right? They provide hotel, do they provide food, and do they give you pocket money, or?
Yes, you have, like, some pocket money for quick and small bento box lunches, for example. The breakfasts are provided, but the dinners usually not. So dinners, you can go meet up with other teams, and you can go find a nice restaurant and just eat with a part. Yeah, eat with a part of the whole WCS group. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what else do they like? Okay, you have to do press, you have to do events, you have to show up in cosplay. This all leads up to the final show, correct?
Yes, exactly.
And how many times do you have to perform your final skit?
It depends. So for us, like in the year before us, they did not have semifinals. And they did not have the Tokyo round. So our year was actually the first one that was this extensive and complicated. So I have to explain this. The first competition part was in Tokyo, which is kind of like a catwalk. So you go on stage, you do some posing, and then you go off stage. There's nothing, you cannot script anything. It's just very quick.
Catwalk, basically.
Yeah, so I don't even know how they judge it. I think it's more a first impression thing. And the 40 teams we had were divided in 4 groups. And from each group, top 2 will be decided. So those 2 per group can go to the finals directly in Nagoya, the finals. The 8 left in each group, they have to compete in the semifinals. And if they pass the semifinals, that's about half of them, they can go to the finals as well.
And then they eliminate the ones that are not.
Yes.
So
that depends if you have to perform your performance once or twice. So everyone goes through the catwalk phase. That's not your prepared performance you prepared from your own country. It's just walk on and off, yes. And the other performance you can do once or twice. And we had to do it twice because we did the semifinals and the finals.
And the finals.
Yes.
Do you change anything, or do you like do the exact same thing?
No, you do the exact same thing because there's no time in between to change anything. They use the same audio and everything that is practiced and cued. Okay. So it was, I think, more to, I don't even know exactly why, but to not make one long performance, I think. Because 40 teams is a lot.
It's a lot. But you can't improve anything. Like, for example, if you did a certain move
No, but of course, when performing, still anything can go wrong. So for us, luckily, everything went as practiced.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
But indeed, I heard like some people in the semifinals, their performance didn't go so well or things went wrong. And yeah, that's kind of sad though. So only your own part in acting you can improve, but not script-wise, no. So
for you, like you didn't have to go through the catwalk, right? You did the more recent...
also catwalk. So we did a catwalk first. Everyone does the catwalk in Tokyo. So the catwalk does everyone, and then we did that. Then we had something that's off stage, that's judging, by the way, the costume judging. but yeah, no
They
one.
come up close to
Yes.
you and like go and judge everything.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So from each other country, so not from the Netherlands, but then from each other country, there is they call it organizer, who will check your costume. So we're a lot of people in that room when we had to go up there and explain how we made things. And together with that, you have your performance on the semifinals, and the judging points and the semifinals points will be added to determine who goes to the finals.
Okay. And then the finals, you just do your performance. And then how long do you have to wait till the results are announced?
It's the same day.
Really? Like, is it on the same day?
Yeah. So it's I think there's like a break thing in between, and then after. So because we were still in costume there. Yeah, we were still in costume. And then it was announced. So, I mean, you can still take off the costume in between, of course, but we were still there backstage waiting for the announcement. Yes. So not that long in between.
So I did gather some questions from the post. I don't know how to pull them up, so I'm just going to read them out loud afterwards, after we're done talking about your cosplay experience after the final round. Like how did you feel, and what's everything that you like, what happened?
Okay, so as I was saying, we had the semifinals and the finals, and those performances are basically the same. Luckily, everything went well. So once at the end, I fall on the ground. I smack the floor basically, and I have to lie there because Rei is still doing something on stage. So when that ends, people clap, and I was like, yes, we did well. And then that happy moment, that lingers for a while. I go backstage. I go watch the other contestants who still have to go up. After everything of that is all over, as I was saying, the announcement was quite soon after. So, of course, the level is quite high, so we didn't expect to fall into prizes at the finals, and which we didn't. But that was great, because it was great to see the winners come up stage and receive their prize. So that was really memorable. It's just, yeah, that thing of closing off the whole event, that's amazing. And actually, after that, first you have to make sure all your stuff gets removed from the stage, from backstage, in your changing rooms. You bring everything back to your hotel. So it's kind of still like, okay, we're still doing things to finish up. After that, there's like 1 day after the competition, we all go to an onsen, so the hot spring. We have there like a big dinner with everyone, and then you can chat a while. And that time at the onsen is like an onsen party. You do karaoke, you have great food together. Yeah, that's really the bonding.
Relax.
Yes, exactly. That's like, okay, it's 1 day after, and then after that 1 day of relax, everyone goes home. Or some of them stay in Japan to travel around. But yeah, that's kind of like a very nice closure. Like, you can still bond a little with all the teams. And at the end, most of us, when we have to say goodbye, we cry.
It must be emotional.
Yes, it was very emotional. So you say
really
goodbye to
emotional.
everyone.
It's a journey to go through.
Definitely, yeah.
We have a question.
What
are the bad things? Do you want to answer them now, or do you want to gather them for the end? Or do you want to just
whatever you prefer. Now it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So what are the bad things that happened to you in World Cosplay Summit, if you don't mind me asking? Like, is there a type of favoritism? Ooh,
favoritism. Not that I know of. Because it's a big competition, of course there are rules. And indeed, if people don't hold to all those rules, they can be disqualified, or they can get point reduction. So that can happen. Favoritism is kind of hard because there are 40 judges, or, well, minus your own, but in total 14 judges. So even if there's like favoritism from one
you
judge.
wouldn't know.
Yeah, it will be even out because there are so many people who judge. So I do think it's quite fair because you have the pre-costume judging, so everyone sees the costume up close, and then the stage performance. So I think because it's such a big competition, it's not that possible. Like for instance, if there were only 2 or 3 judges, then it's indeed easier to have like foul play, I think. But I
And
must
who are
say,
the judges
WCS
exactly? Like, are they from the same
From each
countries that are
country.
competing?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So every country sends a person or a team to compete, but also a judge, basically.
A judge. Okay, that's very interesting.
Yes. This setup is indeed something I don't know if there's another competition who does it like that. Because what I know, and for other competitions, for instance, in Europe, they indeed have like 4 or 5 judges, maybe 6 sometimes. And they will judge all the participants. But then again, those participants are all from the same country. So, yeah.
I mean, the World Cosplay Summit is considered to be the biggest cosplay competition out there. Like, that is basically the top tier of cosplay. Like, whoever
I
gets
do
into
think,
cosplay.
indeed, it's very big. Because not only, as I mentioned, all the extra events you have to do, so in the run time is like, it depends per year, but about 1.5 weeks to 2 weeks. Whereas other competitions, even if they have other events, it will be not even a week, I think. So yeah,
Do you think it's good for exposure? Well, like, is it good for opportunities and to basically get more into the? Because it's not like acting, or it's not like getting to something that
I think
could lead to another thing.
I think exposure not necessarily, because I think it's really focused on the Japanese audience. And international, only people online who know about the competition, they will tune in for the live stream of the competition, of course. But during all the other events, that's not being live streamed. So I wouldn't say it's good for exposure. I do think it's good for making friends or, build up relationships, like make connections. So now I have friends from 40 different countries around the world. I mean, how cool is that? So it's not necessarily exposure, though. It is like when I go to one of those countries, I know people at least.
You will know someone over there that you can bond with.
So exactly, it's not necessarily about the cosplay part, I think, for me. Like, you would not gain as much as really getting, how would you say that? More
opportunities.
Exposure, it really depends. I mean, for instance, because maybe this is nice to add. For instance, we had the winner of our year is Will and Kay from Australia, and Will is known as AK Wiru, right? So he already has this name, and besides him, we also had Joshua Hardestein from US. I think those are like, and of course Kimpatsu Cosplay from South Africa. So those names were already like quite famous.
Well known.
Yes, and they were also competing. But it's not that I think that gave them that extra pay. They were already like that. So I think that's
in terms of exposure, it's not really that you wouldn't say that it's
so. No, not that much. I mean, of course, you know more people, and via your knowledge of or your, how to say that, connections grow. Yes, that's true, but not in business, I would say.
In terms of invitations, like, you got invited to be part of the Dubai Comic Con.
Yes.
MEFCC. You were a judge there, and I think the reason why they picked you guys is because you guys have that, like, professional background when it comes to cosplay. So you guys know how it went in Japan and, like, judged based on that. Do you feel like you've learned something that you were able to apply as a judge at the MEFCC competition?
For me personally, differs a bit. Of course, I could apply my whole experience I had in Japan and take that with me when judging competitions. But before that, because I've been in the competition world for quite a while already in the Netherlands, I saw a lot of things backstage. Yes, I took basically not just the experience from WCS in Japan with me, but all those
Your
years.
entire background.
Yes. And I think that was actually quite helpful because I remember at the meeting of the judges, I was like, okay, maybe we should do this or this or this. But I didn't judge that much yet. It's just that I think only once or twice before. But it's just that I have run in the competition world for a while and been with event organizers and organizations. I just like know things from different perspectives, and that's, I think, what worked well for me. And that's what I could apply when in Dubai at MEFCC, yes.
Were you given a specific agenda to follow, or like were they like, okay, like was it a scoring system? Because for me, I judged once and I didn't like, the agenda that I was given didn't really make sense. So I was just like, I'm always wondering like, how are the agendas prepared, or like, is it a scoring system or is it per categories? Like, do you want to tell us a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Some insight
So,
on that?
yes. So, for instance, I have seen kind of like a judging form from, what was it, ECG and Euro Cosplay, so 2 European cosplay competitions I want to join, actually, not to judge, but to participate. So then I have to read the rules, like, okay, where do they give points to? And I assume the judges will be given the same. But that was very specified, like, oh, if it's this accurate, you give this many points. But the competitions I judged, they weren't that detailed. So we, in general, have to know, okay, what is the division of percentage of the craftsmanship, so the costume itself, and the performance. So for WCS, for example, it's like 50-50.
Okay.
And the rest is kind of like, with the judges, we determined some pointers like, okay, how do we judge this together? So that we have kind of like an equal system, or we have a baseline. And so the judging will be fair. That's how I usually do it, if there's not like a specific guideline.
And is it divided per category, or is it like overall and then like we'll put them in categories? Like, do you guys, like, for example, for the Dubai, like there was a movies category, there was an anime category, I think. So were they all judged separately with different forums, or was it all the same?
Let me see. I think the biggest difference was whether it was WCS or not. So if it's on the same competition, even though it's like movies or anime, for example, that's kind of judged the same. So it's in general things like accuracy, craftsmanship. So what skill set did you use? What else? I can't think by heart. Yeah, performance, but that's kind of like we take it so separate, and then we add some points. I don't remember the exact things we mentioned together, but there were some pointers also announced on the forms we got. Yes. But it's very global.
Was it confusing for you guys when I came out? Because I know that my name was not on the list, and I have a reason for that.
Oh, do you want to share that?
Yes, I mean, I'm again known for breaking rules. The year before, I just went out of my way and did something that is not very nice. I exceeded the time limit and like had to redo my skit and like just. I'm very dramatic when it comes to performances this time, but I always apologize because like I take accountability because I know that sometimes it's my fault. Like this time, they sent an email at around like 4. They sent an email that day saying that you have to confirm that you're attending around 4 p.m. or like you have to be there on 4 p.m. or something. Like I needed to be there earlier, but I hadn't had my makeup finished. I usually take hours when it comes to the makeup, especially with Jafar. It's like, you know, a really exaggerated makeup that requires a lot of time. It took me about like 5 hours plus.
Wow, amazing.
So I didn't make it on time. I actually wanted to meet Mina Masood, the actor from Aladdin, on the same day I did Jafar, but I couldn't. So I walked in and then I realized that the competition had already started, and I'm not even there
Oh,
yet.
really? Oh, damn.
The guy that was doing the genie,
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
a blue guy.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was performing, and I had just walked into the stage, and I was like,
I had
oh
no
my
idea.
God. I had no idea, but then they sent an email, so I should have been more, attentive, and I should have paid attention. But then I walk in backstage with my friend Reem, and I was panicking because like every time something goes wrong, I kind of like lose it, like I behave.
You get in
Yeah, like
panic or stress?
I get in panic. I get in panic, I get stressed, I get angry, and I start like, telling people, like begging people basically. But thankfully, there were people there that I knew, and they were able to. It was a long process to get me back on the list because when I walked in, they were like, "It's too late." I was like, "I already registered and this and that." They were like, "But you didn't confirm, so there's nothing we can do about it. There's not much." They were like, sorry, that's it, basically. They told me that there's absolutely nothing you can do. But I didn't give up. I kept on trying and trying. I begged people and this. And like, it was a long process. But what I do know is that my name was not on the list, on the judging list for you guys, because they had already printed the list. So I heard that it was confusing to kind of score me. Was that,
Yeah.
do you have any insight on that?
Well, in general, during that competition, because I don't know what happened with other contestants, but sometimes things got switched up or we couldn't find indeed someone on the list. So I must say the whole process was quite confusing, but also because there were just a lot of contestants. Yes. But yeah, I would indeed recommend to keep more to the rules, but also it's not entirely like your thing. I mean, of course, your part should have been done better. That I agree to, but in general, even without that, it was still quite confusing sometimes. Yes.
And then later, when I won, and I went backstage to claim my prize, I looked at the organizers and I was like, "See, I told you. Like it was worth it to put me back in." But it was a fun experience.
I'm very glad. Yeah, I'm very glad you got to do your performance on stage. It was very good.
Thank you. And I actually owe you an apology because when you handed me that prize, I didn't realize that you were holding it as well. I thought you were giving it to me. And I think I pulled it so hard away from you.
Oh, that's fine.
And there's a picture of me like actually going, oh, did you give it to me? And someone made it a meme of me like being pissed off at you, like just get it away. But I didn't mean it. Like
no, I get it. It's fine. I mean, it's just misunderstanding. It's fine. I mean,
because I thought
it makes
you
great
handed
memes.
me the thing.
Yeah, it's just I followed up. I think the previous one I think they posed with the card first and then gave it. So that's why.
Oh yeah. I thought you were handing it to me, so I was like, why is she not letting go? Also, I didn't recognize you that day. I really didn't recognize you and you and Rei.
We met before, and you told us indeed like, oh, I will be a Disney character, and we were like, which one? Yeah.
But it was a fun experience.
It was great.
So, how was the Arab cosplay scene, in your opinion? Like, was it your first time in Dubai?
It was definitely my first time in Dubai. It was my first time in the Middle East. So for me, it was both a new culture I got to experience and indeed a new cosplay scene. So starting with
did you have any expectations before going? Like before coming, did you expect anything? Like,
I had no idea because I hardly knew anyone from that scene. Only Omar, Salim, and Ayman, because them I met at WCS. Yes, them I met at WCS. But how the community was itself, no clue. How the culture was, no clue. So when I got there, it was such a great experience. It's like literally a whole new world to me. It was so amazing. Yes. I mean, I got to experience so many different cultures and different food. I did not expect it. I did not expect I liked Dubai so much. And the cosplay scene, the people, I mean, they were all in general so nice. And as I mentioned before, it made me remind a little bit of our cosplay scene in the past, because you do feel that it's newer, it's younger, but people are so enthusiastic. And it's not like they are not like that here. Here it's more, it differs, and as I mentioned before, maybe it's more of the hate or the jealousy, or it's kind of a little bit more
The new
wary.
generation of cosplay.
Yes, for us at least. But there in Dubai, I felt so welcomed. Yes, that's the right word.
Yeah.
It was, yes, I really liked it. And I could just talk with people there. I think the real pro is that everyone speaks English there in Dubai.
Yeah.
Like not all countries have that. For instance, when I went to Germany or France, I am very surprised that some young people just don't speak English. But you know, it's still fun. You can still talk to each other, say hi with broken English.
Yeah, like sign language, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, English is a universal language, and it's a must, basically, especially for us here in the Arab countries. So how was it fascinating? Because what I do know is that compared to the other countries, like the ones that you mentioned, it's very diverse, if I'm not mistaken. Like, not everyone does just anime or just Japanese characters. Like, everyone is very different. Am I right?
You mean in the scene in Arab?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. But I must say, even here in the Netherlands, it's quite diverse as well. Because we had, I think, of course, it started more with Japanese and characters from Japanese anime or games. But in more recent years, maybe somewhere 5 years or more already, big comic conventions also started popping up. So that's where it also became more diverse, and of course Marvel is super popular. So I think for us at least, it's quite similar. That it is diverse, I mean. In Japan, I must say it is like more focused on the Japanese ones.
That's really nice. I wish that you got to see like the years before, especially last year. MEFCC 2019 was a lot more crowded. There were a lot more people, and because
was
of the
it
whole
because of
pandemic.
COVID? Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Like 2019 was my first MEFCC experience, and to me it was fascinating because compared to I'm from Bahrain, by the way, which is a small island, and the cosplay scene is very small here. So to me, going to Dubai was just like eye-opening and fascinating because everyone there is just like, there are a lot of cosplayers, like a lot of cosplayers. Here in Bahrain, you can literally count them. Like, you can count how many cosplayers you see in front of you. That's how small the cosplay scene here is. So to me, it was so fascinating, and yet people were saying that it was even bigger the years before. So this year, 2020 was very quiet. Like, it was very quiet.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did
even
notice that the
vendors.
venue was like very big compared to the amount of people that were there. Yeah, that's true.
It was bigger last year. They had the bigger halls open.
I see.
And the stage last year was outdoor. So you can only imagine how big the venue was. But yeah, it was kind of sad and demotivating because of how little people were there and the vendors. But I mean, I still managed to have fun with my friends, and it was a good experience. So would you ever go to Dubai again? Like, would you consider going there for a vacation after COVID, hopefully?
Yeah, of course, after COVID, but yes, definitely. Because when I came back, I even told my family, so my parents and my brothers, like, Dubai is really something for you guys. I mean, I know, like, none of my family went to Middle East before, and I know they like food a lot and all those different cultures, and it's just really a great experience. It's so different from what we're used to in Europe, but also in Asia, because, yeah, I have family in Asia as well. So we did visit those places, Europe and Asia, but not like Middle East. It's really a great place to indeed go on vacation. So I really do recommend it. Yes.
So what was your
I would
favorite
definitely want
dish?
to go. My favorite dish?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I know
hard.
we're getting out of topic, but like food. So we got to talk about food.
I think
What is something that you
someone brought us to one of the first things we ate was Lebanese food, I think. That was really good. It was grilled meat, I think.
Yeah, called kebab.
Yeah, that, but I don't mean that one. Because that I kind of know, because we sometimes have it here too. But I think like dessert-wise, there was this thing called kunafa.
Oh yes.
That was really good. Both Ray and I are like, oh my god, we won.
That was really good.
Yes. I don't remember all the words, of course, because for me it's a total foreign language. But I do remember shawarma because we have shawarma here as well. But once we had
Really?
it there, it was a different. Yeah, it was different. Like the dish itself seemed different. So I'm not
Do you
sure
call it
why we call
shawarma
it.
as well?
Yes, we do call it shawarma as well. But shawarma is usually in like a bread thing and then meat.
Yeah, it's like a
But
wrap
yeah.
sandwich.
Yeah, so for us it was not wrapped here. And then it's called something different. So that's why it was kind of confusing. But
What
I
is it
think
for
the
you
meat
then?
is similar.
Is it
I
like
don't
a
even
dish?
know.
Like how do you eat it where you are?
Well, shawarma we eat it like in a bread thing. So we cut it open, it's bread, and then there's the meat.
Oh, okay.
And then sometimes with some salad or stuff. So, and then with sauce. But there it was just different.
I'm getting hungry. I'm getting really hungry.
So what's the classic I say that country dish of Bahrain?
It's the traditional food here is fish with rice. Deep fried fish basically, but I don't like fish necessarily. There's a dish called machboos. It's basically like rice with spices and chicken and beef. It's very heavy. The Arab food is very heavy. That I like. And what else?
It sounds good.
Sounds really good. I'm getting hungry. I like when it comes to traditional dishes here, I like the breakfast because it's also very heavy.
Yeah. Oh, but when we had breakfast there, it was so like I found it quite healthy. There were many like salad things, and there's always hummus and vegetables. Yes, it's so good. So it was actually quite healthy. I was pleasantly surprised by that.
And like you have the dip and stuff. Like I'm so hungry. Even the viewers are like, I'm hungry. We're sorry, we're getting out of topic.
Yes.
There were some questions if we scroll up actually.
Oh, okay. I'll scroll. Can I do that?
Okay.
Oh, I cannot do that.
Was Japan expensive? How much did MEFCC pay you to be there? What else? Those are the main questions that are on the live.
Okay. So let me get into the first question. Was Japan expensive? In general, I would say accommodation and travel can be expensive. So when you take the Shinkansen, for example, the high-speed train, or the what is it, subway? But food you can get quite inexpensive. I mean, of course, when I'm there, I like to eat a lot. So I was not on a budget for food, but you can like for about 500 yen, which is maybe $5-ish. Get a whole like dinner meal. So you have rice and meat and soup. So you have this set, and it's like kind of like a fast food thing there. So you can eat quite cheap, I would say. But in general, Japan is expensive. So that's why when people want to travel to an Asian country, but cheap, it's usually another country.
So how much would you say, like how much would you recommend for someone to gather budget-wise? How much do you recommend?
So without plane ticket maybe. I think it's really hard. If you're really a person who likes to go to Japan for merch, to Akihabara as well, you need to spend quite a lot. You need to spend quite a lot. I think for about 3 weeks, maybe including accommodation. Wait, I think in euros. So maybe about $2K, $2K US dollars without plane ticket, I think. But you can go on budget hotels as well. So if then you can get into capsule hotels.
Airbnb.
Yeah, or Airbnb and shared it with people. Then of course your price can get lower. Yeah.
My friends are roasting me for always being hungry.
Well, my friends usually do too. So In general, when I do live, I always have food with me because I always get hungry as well. But this time I didn't.
So around 800 BD without ticket. So that would be, okay, so 800 BD, which is our currency, would be, yeah, around 2K, just like you said, around
Yeah.
2K something. I mean, it would be worth it. For you, like you didn't have to pay for accommodation, right? Like it was...
Not during the competition, yes, exactly. That is
during the
provided as a participant. But we also had
Part of
Ray's husband was with us to help us out. He had to pay, of course, for his accommodation.
Oh, okay. Because, wait, are you allowed to bring more than... Like, are you allowed to bring any more members?
Yeah,
Or is
to
it
help
just
you
two?
out. No, so you're a team, definitely, and then the organizer, so definitely 3 people per country. And then sometimes you can, have 1 or maybe more helpers to help you set up things, to, just
But I mean, are
make
they
sure you
provided the
survive.
same... Are they provided the same privileges, or...
No, they're not. I mean, sometimes I think they can get discount to enter certain venues because her husband had to pay for entrance for the events we went to. So you kind of have, the helper kind of has to pay extra, yes. And those events can be quite expensive though, that's what I know. I don't remember how much, but I do know that her husband skipped certain events because it was expensive and he
pricey,
wouldn't
yeah.
enjoy it otherwise, yeah. So he just went on somewhere in Japan, do some travel things, do some tourism.
Yeah, it's always good to save up ahead of time if you're going on a big trip like that.
Yes, definitely.
I'm looking. Okay, let's see if there are any questions. If not, then I can read the ones that I have from the post.
Sure.
What's up? I guess I missed the cosplay talk. Yes, Ibrahim, by the way, is someone that is very important in the cosplay world. Him and Haneen both started the Cosplay Arabia magazine, which was first based here in Bahrain. And they expanded, they focus more on the GCC, but they also feature non-GCC cosplayers as well. They did a really good job when it comes to the cosplay community. Like you said earlier, that this new generation is getting very competitive. People get very angry very easily, like especially when it comes to competition and who's better, who's good or who's not. So Cosplay Arabia actually started in 2018, and they're my friends, but I also worked with them as PA, public relations, and it was such an interesting concept because their concept is to basically like shed some light on cosplayers that don't necessarily have that big of a recognition. You know what I mean? Especially new cosplayers, new startup cosplayers. They're for everyone basically. So
I see.
shout out to Cosplay Arabia. And what else? So questions. Yes, cosplay talk was mostly in the first live, and then we started talking more about things over here. I think is on the Cosplay Arabia website. Yes, you are actually on the Cosplay Arabia website. Did you know that? Because of
No,
I mean,
I did not.
you are because of you being a judge. You were featured on that website.
I see. Oh, cool. I will check it out later.
Yes. So, do you have any questions from the post, by the way? Because I have a few here that I would like to read out.
No, you can start with the questions.
Okay.
Yes.
So, first question is, how many series/costumes are required overall, and can you bring OCs? I think we kind of touched on
To
that.
WCS, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think, well, at least for the competition, it's hard rules indeed, what I mentioned before. It has to be Japanese, and sometimes it may not be allowed from certain series, so you have to check that beforehand. For the events, you can cosplay from all Japanese series. I am indeed right now not sure if you can cosplay from non-Japanese series,
I
but
don't
at
think
least we
so.
didn't. Yeah, so yeah, OCs are, I think, a no-go during that event. Yeah.
I think in general, like, okay, so since we're bringing this topic up, what are your opinions on OCs or like cosplays that are not necessarily focused on crafts and, sorry, that are like specifically focused on makeup only or performance only? And yeah, like, what are your opinions on that? Or like,
But those are different questions,
self-made.
right? Because OCs
this is a different
can also
question.
be like a complete costume with makeup and all and everything. It's just that you cannot, you don't have an official reference for something. But basically, you can do the same
Let's start
process.
with that.
Okay.
What are your opinions on OCs?
Opinion OC. Well, actually, I cosplay, I don't know, the Jinka version, so a human version of something is also kind of an OC because it's not official.
There's no
and
specific
yeah,
reference,
exactly.
yes.
So I actually did that too. I cosplayed a Pokemon, but in more of a humanoid form. Personally, indeed, I would say, why not? Because cosplay is something, the most important thing of cosplay is that you do it for fun and you do what you like. If you like to be competitive, that's also fine. But if you're doing competitive, you have to indeed obey the rules. And indeed, OCs are usually a no-go for that because you don't have an official reference. That's the whole point. But if it's about, maybe there's like a fantasy. So when I mentioned the fantasy event, that's all OC, basically. You don't have to have a reference. So then it's allowed to enter a competition with. Because the fantasy community is a little different as well. But you can still work on craftsmanship. You can still sew very detailed and very neat and have great skills to make those. I mean, those are so pretty. So yeah, it's my opinion in general, cosplay, do whatever you like. If you want to focus more on makeup, that's fine. If you want to focus more on costume, that's fine. As long as you don't, I think the important parts for me is like, don't claim other person's work. So if you did not make something, you bought a costume, that's what happened before. Also in our community, maybe sometimes in competitions, but that's only what I heard via not seen myself. So then they buy a costume or they buy a part of costume and then they say they made it themselves. Like that's for me a no-go. Like don't lie about it. It's totally fine if you buy a costume. For instance, this was a shirt I already had, so I did not make it. But this part I did make. So it's just don't lie about it. Just be honest with yourself.
Give credit. Give credit to the creator.
Give credit. Yes, exactly. Even if someone made it for you or if you commissioned something, that's also fine. You can buy costumes. I really do. As long as you like to be that character, act it out, it's fine.
So I want to ask you more about the fantasy con, but like maybe that's gonna take a lot longer. So I'll leave that to the end.
I'm not really into the fantasy though, so I don't know much about it. I just went there once or twice, so I'm not in that community though.
Because like here, most of us are into like OCs and self-made characters.
Oh,
that would be.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so that's like that would be a dream come true for us here to be like judged on things that we ourselves create.
Oh, so there's no competition like that there?
No.
That would be great.
And it gets very confusing, like especially like because the categories are not. I wouldn't say they're well divided. Because, for example, like you'd have someone with an armor compete against someone with a completely bought cosplay, and then the one that bought their cosplay performs better than the one with the armor, so that person wins. That creates a controversy here. Like
That's true. At least, personally, if I were to organize those things, I would make separate competitions for that. Or rules like, okay, this competition, you can have a bought costume or not, and then it's indeed more focused on performance. And the other competition is more specific on craftsmanship. So if you have a bought costume or bought over, because sometimes they have a percentage, like if 75% is made, it's fine, you can enter. But if it's lower than that, no, you cannot enter that competition. And then it's more fair to judge, I think. Yeah.
Yes, I completely agree with what you said. There's a question from Ibrahim. During World Cosplay Summit, cosplayers from which country caught your eye and why? And is there a certain country which is known to have the best cosplayer or tough competition at World Cosplay Summit?
All right. So the first one is, were there any teams that really caught my eye? I must say yes when I saw people first rehearsing. And that's without costume. So this is more a performance thing. Because I saw some teams practicing outside, they're rehearsing their final skit, and I was like, whoa, I think our year did not do a backflip, but there was another year in costume. Yeah, I saw one of the finals, it was years ago, they did a backflip in a a mecha costume. I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And in my year, I saw some teams like having super epic fight scenes. I was like, whoa, that's really amazing. So that definitely caught my eye. Then there are some indeed like big costumes, very, very big. So for instance, the winner, indeed, Australia, and also USA. That was a very detailed costume. And because they were, I think, a little, where was that? Oh no, that was the finals. But I passed by that costume and I was looking at the details, and I loved that so much. So I would say the winners, especially, they caught my eye. And also, to answer the question of, in general, which teams are usually placed high, I think Mexico won a few times, or at least ended in top 3. So the year before me, the winner was Mexico. And I do know that, I think Germany this year won the Brother Award, which means on, I think, sewing in general or craftsmanship points, they got the highest score. So I think Germany in general, I really like them for their sewing in general. And I do think the Asian countries in general have more armor-based costumes. That's what I noticed, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for the rest, I don't recall like that many.
Anything specific?
Yeah, it's specific indeed. I mean, personally, I loved all the costumes, seeing the diversity. I just really like it, and seeing the costumes up close, how they made it, is really nice. I mean, I also learned like, oh, how did you make that? And then they tell you how they did it, and that just really opens up your mind.
Always
as well.
fascinating learning something new.
Yeah. So that was really interesting.
Ukraine this year was good. Didn't know about Mexico. Yeah, I've seen videos of the Mexican cosplayers in the past, and I was always impressed. I believe that there's another competition. I forgot what it was called, but I really can't quite recall. But it's not World Cosplay Summit. It's where, God, I forgot what it was called. But I've seen performances from like Tim Burton movies, like The Corpse Bride and Alice in Wonderland performances, and it was always like mind blowing.
Is
I'll
that
make sure to look that
European? It was European cosplay gathering, maybe?
Is it? Yes. Is it
It's in
ECG?
Paris.
Yeah.
Yes, ECG.
Yes,
Do you mean that one?
That's the one.
That is
Yes.
perfect
Oh
because yes, because there I have to tell you, I also was backstage there, but not as a participant, as a helper.
Okay.
Yes. So
you
on
told me
that
about this
competition,
earlier, right?
I think
You
I
mentioned it
mentioned
earlier.
it. I think I mentioned
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
So
That's where you met Rei?
No, Rei I met before, but this was in the 2016 year when, as Prism Group, we won the competition for the group. But this is an interesting event, right? I mentioned there are several competitions, several prizes, etc. However, the group competitions of like AnimeCon itself, so the local competition, and the preliminaries for international competitions, so WCS, ECG, and more, was held on the same day. And
At the same place?
The same day, same place, yes, on the same event.
Oh, okay.
So what do two members of my group think? Oh, let's join both the group and the duo competitions with different costumes. They're crazy. They're cray-cray because you have to get judged in costume and you have to perform in costume. But they have to switch within a time limit of the whole show.
How long is the time limit?
I don't remember. But we were put up first as a group. So we go up as a group. They change. No. Yeah, we get judged in the same day. So they first judged their duo competition, which was actually an Alice in Wonderland entry. So they did Alice in Wonderland costume and makeup. They changed to our group competition costume and makeup. Then we get judged there. Then we get to perform in those group costumes. They have to change again to do their final Alice in Wonderland.
Right?
Yes, that was that year. So they had to switch 2 times. And we won the group competition. God. So we were called on stage, like And the winner of AnimeCon group is Prism. We were so happy. We were called on stage. And then someone said, yeah, now you can go off stage. And we're like, okay. We thought, normally you stay there, right? Until everyone is announced. But we were sent off stage. So, and then they announced all the other competitions, so the preliminaries for international ones. And that ECG group came up, so ECG do. And then it was like, Anna and Ashley. I was like, so that are the ones from our group. And we're like, what?
Double win today. It's
yes,
like
they double won, and we were so happy. Everyone from the whole group and all our friends, we were like, oh, whoa! They were crying. It was so unbelievable.
Guys.
Yes, and that day they also asked me to join them to help them out. So which I did, and that's where I also got insight backstage on ECG indeed. So. What was the question about that? Because you saw the performances, what you mentioned?
No, I was just saying that it was something that is so fascinating because you're not entitled to a certain genre, right? Like you're not entitled. Yeah,
it's more open indeed. You can do something Japanese, but you can also do something
anything
American. Yeah, anything really.
And you can do OCs as well. Am I right?
OCs? I don't know actually.
Because I think you still have to.
You still have to send in a reference, though. That's what I know. Because the judges do check the reference as well. So I don't think you can do OC. But I might be wrong in that. I didn't check it completely.
Because most of the videos that I've seen of like... I'm watching your Allison one. I'm not sure if this is the one. Is this the one from...
Well, if she goes change... It's reflecting your ring light. I can't see.
God, I'm sorry.
I can't see.
I'll send it to you afterwards.
Send it to me later. Yeah, sure.
There is one, like this is the Mad Hatter and another Mad Hatter.
No, she's not Mad Hatter. The ones from my group were Alice and the Red Queen.
Was she the one that changed her costume?
Yes. Yes, she did three changes or something.
That is my favorite performance on the internet.
Really?
I swear to God.
No,
yes.
really? I have to tell them this.
You have no idea. I'm such a big fan of this performance. I've played it on TV every time because like it's just
because it's really that one. Like she runs out at the end, I think.
She spins. Am I right? She spins, right?
I think so.
Like does an outer change, and then there's like wait, there's a Red Queen.
Yeah, there's a Red Queen with a.
There's a Red Queen, and there's like a book. Was there a big book?
I don't know if it was a book though. I'm not sure if it's the same. I'm not sure if it's the same. Send me later.
Okay. We'll see. We'll talk about this later.
Yes.
We're kind of getting to, but send it to me because I would love to see that because Alice in Wonderland is like my favorite.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Okay, let me see what other questions. In your opinion, how much money did you win?
How much money did I win? Well, as I mentioned before, competitions here don't really have prize money. So
no, I think they meant with the WCS.
Oh no, that's no prize money either. I think.
No.
For instance, I know if you win the Brother Award, which is the one I mentioned about the craftsmanship, then I know you get to win embroidery.
Wow.
And those are really expensive. So that's what I know they won. And then the rest kind of depends on the sponsors, what they give as a prize.
I think you're lagging. I know you're okay. What else? Do you think cosplay... How far do you think the cosplay community is going to go? I think they mean mainstream-wise. Like, do you ever see that cosplay is going to be mainstream?
Oh, right. I did notice, of course, in the beginning, when I started cosplaying, no one knew what it was even. And, okay, now it's about 10 to 12 years later. I did notice, like, people at least know what it is. Or via someone says, oh, my cousin cosplays, for example, or Namer. So I do notice, yes, it's coming up more. It is more normal, but because it's always, well, it can be like look more normal if it's natural hair color and more casual clothing. But once it's something extravagant, it's of course not normal to wear. So it's not, I don't think it's going to be ever like mainstream, but I do think that it's going to be more acceptable, at least over the world.
Yeah.
Yes, and people will know what it is when hearing the word cosplay. That I definitely think, yeah.
Because over here, like, it is kind of getting more and more popular, and again, because we're in such a small community, those who stand out more are the ones that get like picked up for like certain events or like certain advertisements or like, for example, I've been invited to like an event promotion or like a video promotion, like things like that.
Exactly.
So that is considered mainstream, I guess, like when you are well known and you get invited or sponsored for like certain, yeah. I think that answers the question.
Yes.
Someone says you look awesome.
Oh, thank you.
That unfortunately doesn't work here. Weirdly, not having cash prizes. Yeah, it wouldn't work here. Not having cash prizes wouldn't be motivating.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess that's it. We've covered up everything. I mean, we went
Wow.
even beyond our topic.
Yes.
So, is there anything you would like to add before we end the live chat?
No, I just wanted to thank you for all these questions and for talking me through it, because honestly, I didn't know, what to prepare or not. But of course, it's just talking about my own experience. I really do like to share my stories and experience, and I really hope that people gain some info or enjoyed it and enjoyed hearing this. So I would definitely thank you so very much for inviting me to this. It's a great opportunity.
Thank you for being here.
And thank you for contributing. Yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna post this on YouTube as well. Like, I'm gonna edit it and I'm gonna like put our videos side by side that it's easier for people on YouTube to watch, because this was such a important conversation, especially for the ones that are just starting and that want to know about the cosplay world from your perspective, a champion. So any more questions? Yep, no crash prizes, even for the winner. I'm not like cosplay is well known and recognition there. Someone has a question.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
What's your last question? Momo has a question. What is Momo's question? Like, is round 2 like that?
Oh, wait, what? Round 2?
The question is, maybe they're referring to World Cosplay Summit. The question is, like, is round 2 like that? What do you mean? Maybe we need to scroll up more to see the reference.
No, I think it's when we were talking.
Do you have to bring 2 series on stage?
Oh, no. For the competition-wise, you do that same series and that same character. So you have like one competition costume. It depends if there are semifinals or not. So if you have to do it once or twice. But basically, you have a competition costume, and the other costumes are for side events, so to say.
So no 2 series, just 1 series for the finale, basically.
Yes, the one you do at the finale, you cannot use for the side events. Yes, that's an important one.
But can you do different versions of it, or like different characters from the same series?
Yeah, sure, that you can. Yeah. You just cannot use that costume, that character specifically, which you're using for the finals to other events. But within those other events, it doesn't really matter that much. Just make sure your competition costume is your main thing to show. So they do not want it at the side events, just for the main competition.
Like it's the big reveal, basically.
Yes.
And then and no different scenes. That's also a question.
No different scenes? What do you mean?
Like maybe like during that final performance, like you're not allowed to do a different scene for the last round.
No, you cannot change it. So you, like, of course, when you do your preliminary in your country, you can adjust that performance before sending it to WCS, yes. But once you're there in Japan and you have to do maybe once or twice that performance, you cannot change it in between.
Did Kaoru miss her World Cosplay Summit friend? You said you missed them all.
Oh.
By Nash.
Oh, hi, Nash. Yes. As I mentioned before, when everyone was crying when we had to separate, it just shows that you really bond with all those people. It's just really a friendship like family. So that's why it's really nice to have these contacts.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Again, thank you so much for joining us on the Awesome
Yes, you
Chats.
too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for cooperating and answering and giving us all the inside tea about the World Cosplay Summit experience. And again, I will be posting this on IGTV and on YouTube. So for those of you who are watching us right now, stay tuned because it's going to be posted and you can rewatch it and hear everything that Lily had to say. So yeah, my phone's about to die. I'll have to go again. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And
thank you,
we'll
chat,
talk
for
on
joining.
again.
Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all so much. Bye.